There are seasons when God places you in what I call the waiting room of heaven. It's a place where faith is tested, patience is stretched, and trust becomes your only anchor. You pray, you believe, and yet nothing seems to happen. Doors remain closed, opportunities slip through your fingers, and it feels as though heaven is holding its breath. But child of God, the waiting room is not punishment. It is preparation. When God makes you wait, He's not withholding something from you. He's developing something within you. Waiting refines your spirit, sharpens your discernment, and teaches you how to stand still and know that He is God. Waiting purifies your motives. Because sometimes what we think we're ready for, we're not. And what we think we want isn't aligned with what we truly need. In this sacred waiting place, God begins to work on the unseen parts of your life, the parts that no one else can see. He's rearranging your heart, healing old wounds, and building the spiritual muscles you'll need for what's coming next. Waiting seasons are womb seasons. They are not dead time, but seed time. Something divine is germinating beneath the soil of your struggle. You may not see movement above the surface, but beneath it, roots are spreading deep. God is ensuring that when you finally bloom, the storm cannot uproot you. I can remember a time when I thought I had been forgotten. Everyone else was moving forward, doors were opening for them, prayers were being answered, and I was left standing still. I cried out, God, when is it my turn? And the Lord whispered, I'm not making you wait because I've forgotten you. I'm making you wait because I'm preparing something that fits you perfectly, that changed everything. I realized that His delay wasn't denial, it was divine design. Waiting reveals your faith. Anyone can believe when things are moving, but can you trust when nothing seems to happen? Can you keep praising when you don't yet have the promise in your hand? Can you stay faithful in the shadows, believing that God is still writing your story in the dark? That's the power of divine waiting. It births endurance, shapes maturity, and teaches you to depend on God's clock, not your own. So when you find yourself in that waiting room, don't panic. Don't try to rush the process or force the door open. Because if you receive something before its time, it can destroy you. But if you receive it in God's time, it will sustain you. The waiting room is where heaven prepares you for the miracle that's about to knock on your door. Stay still, stay expectant, and remember this: God is not late. He's right on schedule, His schedule. And when that divine moment finally arrives, you'll understand why He made you wait, and your tears will testify to the glory of His timing. When heaven seems silent, it's easy to think that God has turned His face away or that your prayers have fallen on deaf ears. But silence in the language of heaven is never abandonment. It's strategy. It's the divine pause between your request and your revelation. God's silence is often the sound of Him working behind the scenes, setting the stage for something far greater than you imagined. When you can't hear His voice, trust His character. When the heavens feel quiet, believe that His hands are still moving. I know what it feels like to cry out to God and hear nothing back, to pray fervently, faithfully, consistently, and still feel like the heavens are brass. You start to wonder, did I miss something? Am I out of His will? Why isn't He speaking? But child of God, sometimes the greatest test of faith is learning to walk without the reassurance of sound. Silence is not rejection, it's refinement. God is quiet when He's trying to teach you how to recognize His presence beyond words, beyond feelings, beyond signs. He's teaching you to mature, to trust His promise even when you can't trace His presence. Remember, the teacher is always silent during the test. And if you're in a season where you can't hear Him, it's not because He's gone. It's because He's watching to see if you'll still follow His last instruction. Heaven's silence is a sacred test of your obedience, not a sentence of divine neglect. In moments of silence, God is aligning your circumstances. He's shifting hearts, moving obstacles, preparing people, and rearranging outcomes. What looks like stillness is actually motion on a higher level. You may not see it, but heaven is busy. The silence is a cocoon. It feels dark, it feels confined, but inside that stillness, transformation is taking place. The caterpillar doesn't hear the butterfly forming, it just happens in silence. Think of Joseph in the pit, David in the cave, and Jesus in the tomb. Each of them faced silence before their elevation. God's greatest works often happen in seasons when He appears the quietest, because silence produces strength. It deepens your trust, disciplines your heart, and disconnects you from the noise of the world so that when He finally speaks, you can recognize His voice clearly. I've learned that when God is silent, He's not punishing you, He's perfecting you. He's letting faith grow roots so deep that when the answer finally comes, your spirit won't be shaken. His silence doesn't mean now. It means not yet. It means hold still. I'm setting something in order that will leave you speechless. So don't despise the quiet seasons. That silence is sacred ground. It's where faith matures, where trust is tested, and where destiny takes shape. And when God finally breaks that silence, what he speaks will make every tear, every doubt, and every long night worth it. Because his silence was never empty, it was full of purpose, preparing you for the sound of fulfillment that's coming next. Before the promise, there's always a breaking. Before the dawn, there's always the darkest part of the night. Before the miracle, there's always the moment that tests your strength, your faith, and your endurance. The breaking is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to reveal what's inside you. Every tear you've cried, every night you've spent wrestling with doubt, every storm you've walked through, it's all part of the divine process that precedes transformation. God breaks what he intends to bless, not to hurt you, but to shape you into a vessel that can carry his glory without cracking under the weight. The breaking is sacred. It is the moment when God peels away everything that's temporary, everything that's unstable, everything that's been holding you back from walking in fullness. You see, blessings are heavy. Purpose has weight. And sometimes God allows life to press you, to strip you, to humble you, because he knows that only in brokenness can true beauty be birthed. The olive must be crushed to release the oil. The grape must be pressed to release the wine. The seed must die in the dark before it can bloom in the light. So when life feels like it's breaking you, understand that heaven is extracting something powerful from within you. I've known seasons where the pain was so deep I thought I wouldn't make it through, where I questioned, God, why this? Why now? Why me? But every breaking birthed a greater blessing. Every heartbreak revealed a deeper purpose. Every time I thought I was being destroyed, I later realized I was being refined. The breaking stripped away my pride, my fears, my dependence on what was comfortable, and taught me to rely solely on him. You learn in the breaking that God doesn't need your strength, he needs your surrender. When God breaks you, he's not punishing you, he's pruning you. He's cutting away what cannot go into your next season. He's separating you from what's small, what's toxic, what's temporary. It hurts because you've grown attached to things that were never meant to stay. You cry because you're watching certain doors close, people leave, and dreams shift. But child of God, that breaking is not a loss, it's a divine exchange. He's taking from you what was fragile to give you what is eternal. The breaking before the blessing is where you learn to pray differently. It's where your worship becomes real, where your praise is no longer about what God gives, but about who he is. You learn to find peace in pain and purpose in pressure. You begin to see that God's love is not proven by how easy life feels, but by how faithfully he holds you when life feels unbearable. And when the breaking is over, when the pressure lifts and the tears dry, you'll realize that you didn't break down, you broke open. Something beautiful, stronger, and more anointed was birthed from that season. The version of you that comes out of the breaking is wiser, humbler, and more powerful than the one who went in. You'll look back and say, that pain was necessary. Those tears were holy. That breaking was my becoming. Because before God blesses, he always breaks. And those tears you cry now, they're watering the ground where your next miracle will grow. There comes a point in your journey with God when you realize that your plans, your timing, and your strategies will never outmatch his divine alignment. You can have the vision, the drive, the determination, but if heaven hasn't said, now, nothing will move. You can push every door, chase every opportunity, and still find yourself standing in front of walls that won't open. That's because God doesn't bless human arrangement. He blesses divine alignment. His will isn't something we manipulate. It's something we yield to. We live in a world obsessed with control. We want things when we want them, how we want them, on our schedule. But heaven doesn't operate by the ticking of man's clock. It moves by the rhythm of divine purpose. When you surrender your clock to God's calendar, you step out of anxiety and into alignment. You begin to understand that what looks like delay is really divine choreography. God is positioning you, placing you, and protecting you from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. His plan is not reactive, it's precise, it's prophetic. I've had seasons where I tried to make things happen through my own strength. I pushed for relationships God never ordained, took opportunities that weren't aligned with His purpose, and wondered why things fell apart. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God was saying, that's not your lane. That's not your timing. I learned that alignment requires surrender. It means trusting that if a door doesn't open, it's because there's something behind it that could derail your destiny. Sometimes God closes what you want to open what you need. Divine alignment is not about striving, it's about flowing. When you're aligned, you don't have to chase, blessings start chasing you. You don't have to force connections, divine appointments find you. You don't have to beg for recognition, God will spotlight you in the right season. When heaven says, it's time, what was stuck will start to move. People who ignored you will remember you. Opportunities that seemed impossible will unfold effortlessly. Because when your spirit aligns with God's timing, favor flows like a river. But alignment also requires trust in the unknown. It means letting go of the illusion of control and believing that God knows what He's doing even when you don't. It's the art of saying, Lord, not my will, but yours be done, even if I don't understand it. That surrender doesn't make you weak, it makes you powerful. Because the moment you let go of your own plan, you make room for God's supernatural plan to take over. Think of Mary when the angel told her she would bear the Son of God. She didn't argue, she didn't plan. She simply said, be it unto me according to your word. That's divine alignment, obedience over understanding. God isn't asking you to figure it all out. He's asking you to stay in position so He can bring everything into place at the appointed time. Sometimes divine alignment looks like delay, detour, or disappointment. But in reality, it's divine direction. God is aligning hearts, seasons, and opportunities so that when everything converges, it manifests perfectly. He's aligning your pain with your purpose, your setbacks with your setup, your tears with your testimony. And when it all comes together, you'll look back and realize that every no, every not yet, every closed door was a part of His perfect design. When you stop arranging and start aligning, peace replaces panic. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes and begin to rest in God's orchestration. You begin to see that His timing is not random, it's redemptive. He knows the exact moment when everything will come full circle. So wait in alignment, not anxiety. Because when your spirit syncs with His schedule, what once seemed delayed will suddenly feel right on time. When God's timing finally unfolds, it will leave you undone. The very thing you prayed for through tears, the breakthrough you almost gave up on, the promise you thought had passed you by, suddenly it will appear, and it will be so perfectly timed, so beautifully orchestrated that it will move you to tears. God's timing carries a glory that human effort can never reproduce. When He moves, He does it in such a way that no one can take credit but Him. You'll look around and realize only God could have done this. You see, God's glory isn't revealed in what happens fast. It's revealed in what happens right. And when the right moment comes, it will not only bless you, it will redeem every moment of waiting, every night of weeping, every year you thought was wasted. The glory of God's timing is that it makes sense of the pain. It weaves together the threads of confusion, loss, and delay into a tapestry of divine purpose. Suddenly, you'll understand why the door had to close, why certain people had to leave, why certain prayers were answered with silence, because everything was leading you to this moment. When the glory of God's timing touches your life, it doesn't come quietly. It comes with acceleration. Things that took others years will start happening for you in weeks. What you couldn't make happen through your own strength, God will accomplish in a divine instant. It's as if heaven presses go. And suddenly the blessings you were waiting for begin to chase you down. Favor overtakes you. Opportunities find you. Restoration floods you, and you stand there overwhelmed, not even knowing whether to laugh or cry, because the promise came true and it came right on time. I've seen people who waited years for healing, for breakthrough, for restoration, and when it finally came, they couldn't hold back their tears. Not tears of sorrow, but of awe. Tears that say, God, you didn't forget me. Tears that carry gratitude, reverence, and the deep knowing that His hand was on you the whole time. That's the kind of moment that humbles you because you realize His plan was working even when you thought nothing was happening. When God's timing arrives, it carries the weight of His glory. You'll feel His presence in every detail, every conversation, every open door. You'll see how He protected you from premature opportunities, how He shielded you from people who weren't meant to go with you, how he delayed what you wanted so he could deliver what you needed. His timing is always purposeful, never random. The glory in God's timing is that it transforms the pain of the past into praise for the present. It shifts your story from struggle to strength, from delay to destiny. You begin to see that he was never late. He was aligning everything to reveal himself through your life. When it happens, it will be bigger than your prayers, more beautiful than your expectations, and more powerful than your plans. And when you finally stand in that moment of divine fulfillment, your tears will speak the words your mouth can't form. You'll cry because you'll feel the weight of every battle you've survived. You'll cry because you'll see how far His grace has carried you. You'll cry because you'll realize that every delay was divine, every detour was destiny, and every heartbreak was holy. That's the glory of God's timing. It doesn't just bless you, it breaks you in the best possible way. It humbles your heart, strengthens your faith, and fills your soul with unspeakable joy. You'll fall to your knees and say, "Now I see, Lord, you were working all along." And in that moment, heaven and earth will meet in your tears, and you'll know God's timing truly makes everything beautiful. There's a reason the Bible says, "In due season you shall reap if you faint not." That due season is God's appointed time, His moment of divine manifestation. You can't rush it, you can't manipulate it, and you can't predict it. But when it comes, it will change everything. You'll wake up one morning and realize that the wait is over, that the pain had a purpose, that the waiting season was never empty. It was God building something inside of you so powerful that when His timing arrived, you'd be ready to carry it with wisdom, humility, and gratitude. You are standing on the edge of something holy. You've cried, you've prayed, you've endured, and you've wondered if heaven heard you. But God's timing is about to make you cry tears you never expected to cry. Not the tears of frustration that come from delay, but the tears of awe that come from fulfillment. You're about to step into a season where the things you only dreamed about will begin to take shape right before your eyes. When God moves, He moves suddenly. You won't need to explain yourself. You won't need to justify the process. The people who doubted you will have no choice but to witness your elevation. The same mouths that gossiped about your struggle will testify of your strength. Because when God's timing manifests, it speaks louder than words. It speaks through evidence, through fruit, through transformation. Don't you see what He's doing? Every delay has been divine preparation. Every no was leading you toward a better yes. Every closed door was protecting you from a counterfeit blessing. You thought God was punishing you, but He was actually positioning you. He was waiting until your character could hold your calling, until your heart could handle the harvest. Because premature blessings can destroy immature vessels. But in His timing, everything flows perfectly. You are about to see the kind of blessing that silences doubt, the kind of restoration that makes people say, "Only God could have done that." The kind of joy that overwhelms your soul and breaks you down in gratitude. That's what God's timing does. It hits different. It's not random success, it's redemptive success. It's not luck, it's the manifestation of divine order. There's a sound that comes when heaven opens over your life. A sound of release, of acceleration, of divine turnaround. What took years to build will suddenly align. The tears you cried in secret will become public testimony. The areas that felt barren will burst forth with fruit, because when the appointed time comes, everything that was stagnant begins to move, and everything that was broken begins to heal. And when it happens, it won't just bless you, it'll bless everyone connected to you. God's timing has a ripple effect. When He blesses you, He blesses generations through you. He redeems your pain so it can become someone else's encouragement. He turns your trials into tools for transformation. So prepare your heart, because what's coming will be worth every tear you've cried, every battle you've fought, every lonely night you've endured. The very thing that once made you weep in despair will soon make you weep in joy. You'll look back and say, if I had received it earlier, I wouldn't have appreciated it. If it came in my timing, it would have crushed me. But because it came in God's timing, it completed me. Get ready. The waiting is about to make sense. The breakthrough is about to be revealed. The promise is about to manifest. God's timing is about to make you cry, not because it hurt, but because it healed, not because it broke you, but because it built you. And when it happens, you'll know beyond a shadow of doubt that every second, every delay, Every detour was working together for your good because his timing is not just perfect, it's divine. You may not realize it right now, but every unanswered prayer, every season of silence, every night spent wondering if God still remembers your name has been leading you here to the moment where everything he promised begins to unfold before your eyes. What you thought was wasted time was actually divine timing in disguise. God was never late. He was waiting for you to be ready, for the atmosphere to be prepared, and for the right people to be positioned. When his timing manifests, it's not gradual, it's sudden. It's like watching the dawn break after a long, endless night. One moment it's dark, the next everything is illuminated. You'll see how his timing redeems. He doesn't just give you what you lost, he multiplies it. He doesn't just restore you to where you were. He propels you beyond where you could have gone on your own. That's the beauty of his timing. It's not a replacement, it's a revelation. He reveals that nothing was truly lost. It was just being rearranged to fit his divine plan. And when that plan is revealed, you'll understand that the waiting wasn't a waste. It was a womb. You were carrying something holy, something that couldn't be rushed, something that needed divine incubation. God's timing doesn't just meet your expectations, it exceeds them. You'll find yourself overwhelmed by blessings that are bigger than your prayers, doors that open wider than you dreamed, opportunities that feel tailor-made just for you. And as you stand in the middle of it all, tears will fill your eyes because you'll recognize his fingerprints in every detail. You'll see that every step of the journey, every heartbreak, every delay was leading you to this divine unveiling. You'll realize that while you were waiting on God, God was waiting on you, waiting for your heart to heal, waiting for your faith to grow, waiting for you to trust him fully, even when you couldn't trace him. Because he doesn't just want to bless you. He wants to build you. He wants your spirit to be strong enough to carry the weight of what he's about to place in your hands. That's why he allowed the tears, the silence, the pruning, not to punish you, but to prepare you for glory. And when that glory comes, it won't just change your circumstances, it'll change you. You'll no longer look at life through the lens of fear or impatience. You'll see everything through the eyes of faith. You'll begin to trust that even in the delays, God is designing destiny. Even in the detours, he's directing your steps. His timing will teach you to rest, not rush, to trust, not tremble, to believe that what's meant for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. When the manifestation arrives, it will be more than you imagined. It will be so full of purpose, so divinely timed, that all you'll be able to do is weep and worship. You'll say, now I understand. Now I see why you made me wait. And in that moment, your tears will become the evidence of faithfulness, because when God fulfills a promise, he doesn't just meet a need. He makes a statement. He shows you that he is not a man that he should lie, that every word he spoke over your life still stands, and that his timing, though mysterious, is always miraculous. You're standing on the edge of that revelation right now. The winds are shifting, the atmosphere is changing, and heaven is aligning everything for your breakthrough. You may not see it yet, but you're closer than you think. When God's timing manifests, it will not only make you cry, it will make you bow. It will remind you that the same God who seemed silent was the one working every detail for your good. And when you finally hold what you once only hoped for, you'll know it was worth every second of the wait. There is something sacred about the moment when you realize that God's timing was working all along, that the heartbreaks, the delays, the unanswered prayers were never meant to destroy you, but to direct you. Every tear you shed was watering the soil of your destiny. Every disappointment was shaping the depth of your character. Every moment that felt like the end was actually the beginning of something divine. You will look back and see that nothing was wasted. Not one tear, not one prayer, not one sleepless night. God was using it all, weaving it together in a way that only he could. When breakthrough finally comes, it won't just fulfill a promise, it will reveal a pattern. You'll see how God's hand was in every detail. The people who left had to leave. The doors that closed had to close. The seasons that felt empty were the ones that built your endurance. His timing doesn't just answer your prayer. It transforms your perception. It changes how you see delay, how you understand silence, and how you interpret struggle. You'll begin to realize that God never forgot you. He was simply arranging things so that when the moment came, it would be undeniably him. You'll stand in awe as everything starts aligning effortlessly. Opportunities that once seemed impossible will suddenly open. Relationships that were broken will be healed in ways that make you marvel. The pain that once felt unbearable will now make sense because you'll see how it led you to purpose. You'll no longer cry tears of confusion, but tears of clarity. You'll cry because you finally understand that God's not yet was really his, I'm preparing something better. In that moment, your heart will overflow with gratitude. You'll feel a peace that words can't capture, a joy that doesn't need explanation. You'll recognize that the very things you begged God to change were the things he used to change you. You'll see that he wasn't just answering prayers, he was shaping a vessel worthy of carrying his promise. The waiting didn't weaken you, it refined you. The trials didn't take from you. They taught you how to stand in strength and grace. You'll lift your hands not because you finally got what you wanted, but because you finally understand who he is. You'll realize that his faithfulness isn't measured by how quickly he moves, but by how completely he fulfills. When he does it, he doesn't just give you the blessing. He gives you the revelation that he was in control all along. The waiting wasn't evidence of his absence. It was proof of his mastery. And as those tears fall, they won't just be tears of joy. They'll be tears of surrender. You'll cry because you'll feel his love in ways you never have before. You'll cry because you'll finally know that the same God who allowed the breaking was the one who orchestrated the blessing. You'll cry because everything you thought you lost has been redeemed in his perfect timing. You'll stand in that place of fulfillment and realize that you didn't miss your moment. Your moment was waiting for you to grow, to heal, to believe again. And when it comes, it will not only bless your life, it will testify to everyone watching that God's timing is never late, never random, never wrong. It's always perfect. It's always worth the wait, and it will move you to tears, not of sorrow, but of overwhelming gratitude that you served a God whose timing was always working in your favor, even when you couldn't see it.